Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. 5 breakout players for the Oklahoma Sooners heading into that 2024 year. And this practice was extremely exciting to do. You look at this Oklahoma depth chart, this roster, and it is loaded with young players that you really expect to take that step in 2024. The hard part about putting together this list was not finding 5 guys that I thought could break out, was really narrowing it down to only 5 players that I wanted to talk about. I left out incoming freshmen. I left out incoming transfers, really went back to the 2023 film and dug into some guys that you saw flashes from in 2023, but you kind of expect to have that breakout year in 2024. Extremely excited to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say a huge shout out to the Oklahoma fans. Many of you guys know this is a program I love talking about. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown the boys. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, would love to hear some breakout candidates from you guys as well. Again, I left some guys off the list that I wanted to include. I learned a ton from you guys. I love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. Would love to hear from y'all and your breakout players. And without further ado, let's get into this one. I'm going to start by really already bending the rules here and going with wide receiver Nick Anderson, who really broke out in 2023, but a guy that I think takes some massive strides in 2024. And the reason I picked Nick Anderson is you look at what Nick Anderson does best as a wide receiver. It is really attacking that deeper third, working downfield, using that frame to really challenge defenses at the next level. And you look at the average depth of target, over 16 yards when Nick Anderson was running his routes. Why I'm so high on Nick Anderson is because Jackson Arnold's your quarterback. And Dillon Gabriel, for as productive and as accurate and as efficient as Dillon Gabriel was, he doesn't necessarily have the arm talent to really consistently attack defenses in that deeper third. And that's where Nick Anderson did most of his damage. You inject Jackson Arnold into this quarterback spot, you are going to see Oklahoma get a little bit more aggressive down the field. Because quite frankly, Jackson Arnold just has a stronger, a bigger arm than Dillon Gabriel. And I think the biggest beneficiary of that is a wide receiver like Nick Anderson. Now, you could throw in guys like Brennan Thompson, like Jaquez Petaway, the burners who want to attack the deeper third as well. But you look at Nick Anderson and all of the things that he can provide to this Oklahoma offense with that big catch radius. I love Nick Anderson. I love what he can do attacking that deeper third with guys like Andrew Anthony and Deion Burks working underneath. I think Nick Anderson already had a phenomenal year in 2023. And again, only going into year 3 of his college football career. I think you see Nick Anderson really break out in 2024. The next guy I want to talk about, and it's not necessarily the most exciting conversation, but we talk about Oklahoma, and probably the biggest question mark we have for this team heading into 2024 is that offensive line. And it's going to be anchored by a center that I think is flying massively under the radar, and that's Troy Everett. Going back and watching some film on Troy Everett, you saw a very solid center in 2023. Very good in pass protection. Had over 211 pass pro opportunities, only gave up 5 pressures. Very smooth, very, very athletic in pass pro. I think Troy Everett has the capability of being an all-conference caliber center if he just puts on a little bit of weight, gets going in the run game a little bit more, and improves that anchor. And that's, again, he came into Oklahoma a little underweight. You saw him put on, it's up to around 305 pounds, improves that anchor a little bit, improves in terms of what he can do, moving people around off the line of scrimmage in the run game. You're looking at a very good center, but you look at, most importantly, you have a lot of question marks about what this Oklahoma offensive line is going to look like. You get an experienced center who is extremely consistent in Troy Everett. I think that's massive for Oklahoma. I think that's massive for Jackson Arnold, and I'm really excited to see the steps that Troy Everett takes in 2024, because I thought he was, quite frankly, when he played, better than Andrew Ram that in the 2023 season. Now, the next player I want to go to, and a really exciting player that he almost kind of forgot was on this Oklahoma team, battled some injuries, are Mason Thomas. And you turn on the film from 2023, you see what we were so excited about with our Mason Thomas coming out of high school, and that is the twitch off the line of scrimmage, extreme burst, extreme bend, really challenges offensive tackles with his juice and athleticism off the edge. And why I wanted to highlight our Mason Thomas is this was a guy that we kind of knew was going to be a project coming out of high school. He came out of high school 205 pounds. You weren't necessarily sure if he was going to play off-ball linebacker, play along the line of scrimmage. He's got his weight up. I thought 2023 was going to be that year he broke out, but I think the injuries kind of stifled that breakout year. What excites me the most about this Oklahoma team is you look at the pass rushers and the potential that this pass rush unit could be in 2024 with a guy like R. Mason Thomas, who I think has tremendous upside. PJ Adebawore, you know what Ethan Downs brings to the table. You start talking about guys like David Stone on the inside. This Oklahoma pass rush, I think, can be the best that we've seen in Brent Venables' tenure in Norman. And I think it's some guys that you're projecting a little bit, but if it all comes together and you're looking at an extremely exciting group, and I think R. Mason Thomas is one of those guys that I think might just fly under the radar because you have a five-star league PJ Adebawore, kind of another breakout candidate. R. Mason Thomas, I think, has a ton of juice and really excited to see if he can put it together in that 2024 year. Next guy I want to go to, and this was kind of part of our deep dive on the Zach Alley defense and really how these safeties are going to be used. And I'm going to go with Payton Bowen. And you could talk, Billy Bowman Jr., he's not a breakout candidate. He broke out last year. Robert Spears-Jennings, another guy that really excites me in this defense. And Payton Bowen, obviously a breakout candidate. You saw him play really good football as a true freshman. What excites me the most about these safeties is I think, one, their skill set fits exactly what Zach Alley is going to ask them to do in terms of coming up in the box, making tackles, being aggressive. Zach Alley, we kind of covered this on our deep dive into his defense. He asks his safeties to play with a lot of instincts, to really be game changers in that back end. And it's an aggressive style of defense, but you saw a lot of the safeties from Jacksonville State really make those game-changing plays. And I love the idea of a guy like Payton Bowen just kind of being like, hey, we're going to ask you to read the quarterback's eyes, play that robber role, and go make some plays that impact these games. Because what is Payton Bowen's best asset that he brings to the table? He's a phenomenal athlete. Don't get me wrong. He has a track background. He's got the good frame. Payton Bowen's best asset is his instincts. And you saw him as a freshman play at an extremely high level because of that. What does it look like year two, after a full year and offseason under his belt, in this Zach Alley defense where you're going to be asked to be a difference maker on the defensive side of the football? That's probably the position group that I'm most excited about, right? Guys like Payton Bowen, Spears-Jennings, Billy Bowman, even the cheetah role. I'm really excited to see what guys like Deshaun McCullough and Justin Harrington are asked to do in this defense, specifically with Zach Alley. Payton Bowen, I think, fits exactly what Zach Alley wants to do. Really excited about what he can be in 2024. Last breakout candidate, and I'm going to go to Kip Lewis, a guy that, again, only going into year three of his college football career, and quite frankly, you saw some growing pains. He's a guy that probably still needs to continue to put on a little bit of weight, but you look at what you're looking for in the modern-day linebacker at the college football level, a guy that the motor runs hot. You can go sideline to sideline. You can operate in space. Kip Lewis checks all those boxes, and he's going to be right next to a guy like Danny Stutzman. Quite frankly, I think Kip Lewis played significantly better than Jaren Kanak, and that's not necessarily a knock on Jaren Kanak. You look at the competition in this linebacker room. I mean, Kip Lewis, Jaren Kanak, Danny Stutzman, those are three linebackers that are playing on a lot of Power 5 programs across the country. But a guy like Kip Lewis, I think, only gets better in 2024 because that linebacker position, that is predicated on having experience, developing those instincts. And the only way you can develop those instincts is getting reps. And you saw Kip Lewis get those reps in 2023. I think you're going to see him get more reps in the offseason. I think last year during this time, it was Danny Stutzman, Jaren Kanak. Those were kind of the locked-in linebackers. You're going to see Kip Lewis get more opportunities in spring ball. I think he's going to be your starting linebacker in 2024, and a guy that flashed in 2023, but I think can break out in that 2024 year. Again, a ton of other names that Gentry Williams, I think, already kind of broke out last year, but a guy that I wanted to put on the list in terms of potentially being an All-American caliber cornerback. You have a loaded wide receiver room of guys that can break out. Obviously, Jackson Arnold. Really excited about this roster, really excited about the potential of this roster in terms of the young talent that they have heading into 2024. Again, would love to hear some breakout candidates from you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all Later. Peace.